Okay, I'm on my computer. I go, oh my gosh. Okay, that's a little too big. I'll back up a little. Okay, hi.
No. So this is what I do. I just put a hat on my head. And
Well, I haven't taken a shower yet today, but
your hair is your best feature.
I don't know about it right now, but anyways, how are things?
Things are good. Things are good. We have a lot of new, I'm recording this, by the way, just so you know.
Okay.
We have a lot of new MuddyUm writers.
Yeah, I know Dorothy Rosby. She's really a good writer. I told her to contact you. I met her through Irma.
Nice. Well, thank you for that. And I have to say that, I took a break from writing for a while because I wanted to build an editorial team. And I knew that, as we grow, I couldn't do the editorial job all by myself. So I really needed to do that. And I knew that I wouldn't be able to write if I did that. So, but I'm happy I did, because we'll just keep expanding, and also in the process of, leading an editorial team and teaching new editors and, getting standards together. It just elevates the whole experience for everybody. And also it brings up the level of the writing. And the better writing, the better we can do with bringing on new writers and helping them find their funny voice and cultivating all that, the more of that we can do, it will just continue to attract more good and better, high quality writers.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't been posting every day like I should. And really, I was so busy promoting my book that I kind of I'm going to get back into it, but it's not, I just can't put my energy just in there.
No, of course not. No, and no one can or should, I think.
Paul.
Hi, all right. Well, I'm going to change to my MuddyUm name here.
I mean, there's so many people on there, Susan. I mean, I can't even, it's like, I thought I would get to a certain level per month, and I'll never get there. So I just.
Level of what?
Of earnings.
Oh, I don't, if I get my $5 a month subscription paid for each month, which I do, then I figure that's goal. Like,
yeah,
I make, and anything between $5 and $10 is like for a slice of pizza or something.
I know, really.
I mean, it's a good thing I don't have to like depend on this.
I know. Well, I had a couple books on Amazon. I had one self-published thing, and 1 month, swear to God, they sent me 5 cents royalty. I don't even know why they bother spending time getting it to me. I go, okay, that's got to be a record. That's got to be a record low, right?
That's Amazon?
It was on Amazon. I don't even know. It was for that young adult book I have out there that nobody's buying anymore. But anyways, it was kind of interesting that anybody would even spend that much time calculating, or it's all computerized, I'm sure.
Well, it's Stripe payments. I look at that thing, and it's got the there's a whole string of old things that are each like earning a penny a piece, by the end of the month.
Oh, right. Yeah. When you go down to your stats. Yeah. I know. It's crazy. I don't even know. I mean,
they don't have curation anymore. So it's called something different now.
It's you're selected for further
distribution.
And all your old curated ones now say that instead.
Yes.
Yeah.
But those tend to have legs,
Yeah, exactly. A lot of pieces do tend to have legs.
I have one piece that's been up there for a really long, since the year and a half, and I've made almost $100 on it, but that's accumulated, and it just.
I'll tell you, I don't know what I would do if I had any of mine that said $100 on them. They say.
Well, it's taken a long time to get there.
Oh, I'm sure it has, but I can look at something a year old and I can tell you right now, no way, none of them have $100 on them. And last year,
I have seen and worked with writers who have made, $100 on a single article, and 100, they say that
for them.
if you're making $100 a month with your medium, evergreen pieces, with your pieces that are just out there collecting money, that's a good thing. And I think I'll take $100 wherever I can get it. So
I more power to them. I mean,
when
if my motivation was to try to get $100 a month, I would have quit already.
That was my goal and I came close, but now I'm on the down, I'm going backwards.
But I'm finding it very rewarding to be the publication that brings a lot of new medium people. Like, so we get writers who are new to medium, brand new to medium, and then they come to MuddyUm because they're attracted by the funny and they're attracted by the quality of writing, and then they want to be a part of that. And that's what we want. So I set an intention last year, at the end of last year, when I started building the editorial team up. And I said, if you notice on Medium, there are all these paid publications that are owned by Medium. So there's private publications and there's public. Medium sponsored. That means Medium takes their money and pumps it into those publications. And those are the ones you see on the front page. Jen,
Is Elemental one of them?
Elemental, I think so, and 10 and those.
Yes.
They have
So
cool
basically,
articles in them, though.
Ev is sitting on a huge pile of cash, and he's gotten, I don't know, 2 or 3 rounds of venture capital. And so there's people that believe in what he's doing. So he's got a good pitch and he's sitting on this pile of cash. And then one of the things he does with that cash is he puts it into select publications. And sometime last year, or maybe the year before, he put out a call for pitches for, who's got a publication idea, who would like to have some of this funding, and we will go fund you. And if you notice all those publications that are funded by Medium, that are not privately owned like MuddyUm is, there are no humor publications in that funded list. So my intention, and I set this intention earlier this year, is that we, MuddyUm, want to be that publication. We want to be the funded humor publication for Medium. That's the goal. And
that's a lofty goal.
It's a lofty goal, but it's a worthy goal, and that's where we're going. I just want to say that that's where we're going, and it's real to knows that's where we're going. And because my intention here is that writing humor and writing comedy is some of the most cerebral work out there. It is the writing form for the overthinker. Because we turn things around in our head over and over in a million different ways. And so this like humor writers need to be paid. So, and I know we have Ev's attention because he's made comments on articles of mine, and so I know that he sees us. And I also watch our stats very carefully. We are the fastest growing humor publication on Medium, and we have the proverbial hockey stick of growth, and it's been like that from the beginning. So from a business perspective, what you look for a startup and for something that's a good bet, we have that. MuddyUm has it. We're not stable. We have hockey stick growth. So I'm pretty excited about that. I'm excited about bringing in the new writers that are constantly coming in and helping writers find their voice and helping them refine. And it's been fun to train the editorial staff. There's Rachel, she's on editorial staff. It's been fun to train a staff that is unpaid, totally unpaid, does it as the labor of love, and helps writers, get the best possible piece out there, with the idea that our intention is that we want the money. We want the money from Medium. We want to be the humor front-page publication. So with that, I know there are questions. There are people who have questions. David, I know you have some questions. And so we're here. And thanks, Rachel, for joining us, because Rachel's a good voice for where we're going as well. So I love her perspective. So tell me what's on your mind.
Oh, well, since you called me out, I definitely, well, I've answered a lot of them since I initially asked some of the questions. I've only been on Medium since December 26th.
Oh.
So
Congratulations.
I've been on the sucker 5 years now. I go way the hell back there, and I have barely made anything.
I didn't know it
Anyway,
was
I'm
5
sorry,
years
go
old.
on.
So I was vaguely aware of it, and I run another an online news website for my original thing, and I'm having technical difficulties. I have somebody working on it, and somebody said, "Oh, why don't you just publish to Medium?" I'm like, well, that's not. It's like a local digital newspaper, not the same thing.
Mm.
But I was looking into it, and I was like, well, let me see what this is, and then I was like, I couldn't figure out what it was. And then slowly, you start wandering around and you're reading articles, and it's like, how to do this, how to do that, and this is a publication, oh, this is a kicker, this is a blah, 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 blah. So my initial questions, I think that you responded to was, I was just trying to figure out, like, everybody's got all these rules. So it was, all right, well, where are we supposed to ask stupid questions, or where are we supposed to talk, or where are we supposed to, like, just, I don't know, shoot the shit. So I was trying to go I'm trying to follow the rules. So just tell me where I'm supposed to go ask the stupid shit, like oftentimes the FAQs or it's like, we've already had 80 people ask this, just go read the damn thing. So I was looking for those.
Yeah, so we have a place for that. So anyone inside of MuddyUm, so we love to write, since we're a humor publication, we love to write how-tos. But we, unlike a lot of the people who are writing how-tos about how to navigate on Medium, and Medium has their own staff that they pay to do this. Their stuff is boring and dry and horrible.
I wish they would fix something every now and then.
Yeah,
I've sent them
well,
more
they
bug
do.
reports that they
I mean,
never
they
get
have
to.
enough money that they should be able to, but that's another topic. But just
God.
direct,
Anyway.
we write the how-tos about how to navigate through Medium and how to navigate through our publication, but we do it with a funny spin. And so if you've got a how-to about how to do anything on Medium and you can spin it so that it's funny, then we put those pieces behind a tab on the front page. So if you go to the front page of Medium, there's a tab called Outlaws. And that's where we store all our posts about how to do and how to navigate. And from time to time, we get people who say, well, how do you do this? And then we go, oh, no, that's a good question. Let's write a post. Let's write a funny post about that. So, so that's kind of the facts, that's the frequently asked questions right there. So that would be a good place to start. And when people come up with, as I said, other questions, and we realize, oh, that's something that we definitely could address, then anybody can write a post, any of the editors. So it doesn't have to be an editor alone for those pieces to get put behind that tab. And those pieces get fairly well accessed. I think Sarah, one of our editors, Sarah Paris, wrote an article about SEO, and it was so funny. And she's been making really good money because, as it turns out, the wider Medium audience, we write these posts for the MuddyUm, for the humor writers for our own publication. But what happens is the wider millions of people that are on Medium want to read how-tos as well, and they'd rather read the funny version than the boring, dry version. So, we have, so those pieces tend to do fairly well for us. So start there. Definitely.
I think I read all those.
Okay, good. And so was there a question that came up that we didn't answer in there?
I mean, some of it is so it's not all specific to MuddyUm. I think I've kind of got that part figured out. Again, initially it was like, all right, how are you contributing? And everybody, all these different channels or publications have different rules. Email it to me, send it as a thing, send it as a draft, send it, whatever. So I'm kind of figuring that out, but that's like, they're all different. They all have their own rules.
All the private publications are all different rules. Yeah.
Which is fine. And just like any other publication, everybody's got their own rules.
Well, some of them have prickly editors too.
I imagine. there's a lot of, their instructions are fairly prickly.
Hmm.
Again, you know, if you've ever been querying regular print publications, so are they.
Yeah.
Maybe worse.
Very
Yeah.
true.
Well, I think, over time, people kind of develop their short list of the pubs that are the best fit for their writing and the pubs that they most prefer to work with. So it takes some experimentation, and a lot of people make a Google sheet or some kind of spreadsheet with kind of like the main things they need to know so they can quickly reference it and then say, oh, this is a tech piece. This is where I sign my tech pieces. But yeah, I don't really have a broad range of publications that I submit to because I don't have a lot of patience for experimenting that way. But yeah, if you write in a lot of different topics, that's something a lot of authors do. Do you have favorites, Susan, outside of yours?
I think, when I first started getting serious about getting paid on Medium, so I've been there for, I don't know, 3 or 4 years for a while. And so I was on, I guess the same for some of us, we've been on before there was a paywall. And when I first came on, there was no pay. It was all just, hey, this is a great platform to write. It's friendly, it's accessible, and it's a good outlet. And when the paywall happened, that was like, woo, look, my first check was, 99 cents. And I was like, oh, hi, I got royalties for 99 cents. This is so exciting. And it's, that was incentive enough for me to keep going. But I think in the beginning, I was just very excited about the idea that I could query and submit to a publication, and then the publication say, yeah, we'd love to have you. We like your writing. If your writing is in any way quality, it's fairly easy to submit or pitch even to the publications that do pay for articles, and some of those Medium publications do. That's where I want to go with MuddyUm, is to be able to pay writers that way and have writers pitch and get paid for their articles. But I think that when I first started, it was a lot of that experimentation and saying, well, let's see who will take me as a writer. And very quickly, I'm on the writer rolls of like 50 or 100 publications, and that's not sustainable. It's just not sustainable. If you're a quality writer, you basically can write anywhere you want to write, but you have to really, right? It's just important to figure out, well, what is your niche? What do you love? Do you love humor? Do you love essay? Do you love, true crime? There's people making a boatload of money just writing about COVID or true crime stories, or tech. Tech is always very popular. So you have to kind of figure out, because nobody has that much time in the day. And if some of us, like Janie, I just pitched a book the other day to a publisher, and some of us have, book writing goals, and you just can't spend all your time on Medium because, there's bigger fish to fry. But as I say to new writers, a lot of new writers, there's a lot of people who will complain, and you'll see those articles out on Medium, and they'll complain about, I made $10 last month. So, let's be realistic about what Medium is doing. The writers on Medium, the only people paid less on Medium are the photographers whose photos we use in our articles. Yeah, they're the ones that are at the bottom of the pile, and then we're second at the bottom of the pile. We really, if you put in the number of hours, if you calculate the number of hours that you write and how much money you make, if that's your metric, that's kind of a BS metric. It's not about that. And Medium, basically, as a corporation, is using writers as a means to their end. I get that. And so I always flip that and say, look, Medium uses you. Get real about it. use Medium. You flip it. Use Medium for your end. What is your end? So I love my conversations with Janie because, you know, I wrote an article a while ago and I said, this is what you should do to use Medium for your purpose. Get all those top writer badges. They're easy to get. If you're a serious writer, it's easy to get a top writer badge. Get your top writer badges. Now you're vetted. No one knows what the process inside of Medium is except the Medium writers.
I don't know.
Jamie came to me and said, Susan, you could write for, you know, these guys, like, you know, here's the editor, go, you know, go pitch your thing. So I go, I put my pitch together and I say, I have an idea for a story and I'm a top writer on Medium, which is no lie. I have all the top writers. All you have to do is go look at my profile. Here's my profile link. Go check me out. Vet me. I'm a top writer. I have a story to pitch to you. Great. The editor says, great. I love experienced writers and I love getting pitches from experienced writers. That is one way to use Medium to your end. So you have to be clear about what it is you're trying to accomplish with Medium. Medium is a tool for you to use. And, you know, if you sit in the space of saying, oh, Medium is just using me for my, well, you're letting that happen.
Well, you should get off social media if you're worried about being the product.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we need to be smart about this.
I write for magazines. I've got a editorial calendar right now. They're going like, well, pitch me. I mean, I make $800 per article on those. And it's like, and I'm lazy about even doing it. What I like about Medium is the casualness of it. And I think I write all over the place. I write serious journalism stuff. I write business articles for work. But there's things that sometimes don't fit, or there's like just, you know, a lot of the comedy stuff. It's like, that's a hard fit.
Yeah.
But not apparently in a platform like Medium, where I think there's a lot of, because it's other writers reading it. I mean, it really is it's the stand-up, you know, it's the open mic night of stand-up, which is the audience is all other comedians.
Yeah.
You know, but I think that to me the potential advantage is, or the opportunity is, exposure, which I know is a funny thing for anybody who freelances, but I think it is, and like you're talking about that. So let me ask you. I'll ask you three technical things.
Yeah.
Working backwards. So what do you use the website group for primarily?
When you say website group, are you talking about the Facebook group?
I'm sorry, what did I say? Website, Facebook,
Yeah.
Facebook group?
The Facebook group. Yeah, so the Facebook group is a place for community. It's a place for self-promotion. It's a place for networking. It's I have found in business, like before I did this, I worked for IBM and I was in, tech and sales and marketing. And so like I bring a wealth of experience, not just writing, to the whole thing. And so what I know is, what Facebook knows is that if you stay engaged, as long as you stay engaged and you continue to build your network, that's where your strength is going to come from. Janie introduced me last year to the Irma Bombeck comedy writers group. And I was very excited about going to that. I was developing my first stand-up routine, and then COVID happened and they turned the whole thing online. And I was so disappointed, but it's going to happen again. It'll happen again. So I would never have met Janie if it wasn't for Medium. I would never have met any of the people here in this group if it wasn't. Medium, just as you astutely noted, it's like the comedians in the room, and it's all the comics in the audience. But it's through those network connections that we find, the next cool thing to work on, the next project. I mean, that's just a fact of life if you're a freelancer. So that's how we use the Facebook group. You know, you just
Okay.
don't know who you're going to meet there.
I just wasn't sure if it was that casual because it seemed like everybody was just kind of, I'm like, I'm not sure what you're supposed to be posting here. I'm not sure how you're using it. Well,
Yeah.
so then it lead me to then how are you using Slack differently?
Okay,
And again,
so
I'm
that
just-
there is a distinction. So on Facebook, the rules are that you can post anything that you write in any of my 4 publications. And one of
Okay.
them is MuddyUm, and that's the main one. And then I have like 3 other publications that have a very, very tiny niche. Like one is like women and, you know, achievement. And, you know, it's like meant to be an alternative to these big publications like The Ascent and The Startup that are so huge. You can wait for months and months. And so if you have something that is like achievement and performance based and you don't want to wait and you want to get it published, so we commit, like in my publications, we commit to a 24-hour turnaround time to publish. Or, you know, if we can't publish it in that time, we'll give you a reason why. Because, you know, oh, it's loaded with grammatical errors or typos, you got to go back to the drawing board. Sorry, we're not publishing it in 24 hours. You know, you didn't do your work. So, so there's that. So all my publications in that Facebook group, The Outlaws, you can post there and promote there anything that that has to do with those 4 publications. We don't take outside things that you published, not on the Facebook group. On Slack, though, we have a channel in Slack in that group that is called Shameless Self-Promotion, and you can promote anything you want in there. So Slack is really kind of this overall kind of free-for-all where you can do whatever you want. That is a
I'm glad
broader
you said
space
that.
for networking. Yeah.
Yes, I was wondering.
Also, the reason that I put a Slack channel together for us is that not everybody plays on Facebook anymore. And there's a lot of writers on Medium who come along and say, I don't have Facebook, sorry, I'm not joining your Facebook group. And I'm like, yeah, fine, that's all good with me. So email me here and I'll send you a link to the Slack channel, and you can, now you don't know, you've never used Slack, right, David?
Not until recently, but now I have it on. It's on all my damn screens.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Slack.
you can change the settings. I didn't care for it at first because I thought it was taking over my computer too much. But what I most like about it is that on Medium, there really isn't a built-in messenger system where you can just chat with Susan. And I think there are pros and cons because, you know, trolls and people can't solicit you and start private messaging you when you don't want them to. But on the other hand, you have to go elsewhere to network, which is why Susan had the Facebook group, and then Slack came along more recently. And I think it's much, much better for conversation rather than trying to go through the Facebook Messenger with the little talking bubbles. And I'm moving more and more away from Facebook for many reasons. But yeah, Slack is sorted by channel. You can directly message to have a one-on-one conversation. And I just think it's like an easy way to talk and get to know other writers. Whereas the Facebook group, you know, we post writing prompts just to give people humorous ideas to write about. And like Susan said, we can share what we've written. And it's a way for you to just kind of build your audience and get more eyes on your piece. And then we'll have announcements that are MuddyUm specific, like, hey, you know, don't forget to use a kicker or stuff like that.
Aren't the people that are on the Facebook page already on Medium looking at MuddyUm?
Yeah.
Like, why would I post a story that you've published to MuddyUm onto the Facebook page? Aren't they already looking at it on there?
You know, it's
Or am I overestimating how that works?
everybody's process is different. That's the
Okay.
thing.
Well, I see a lot of them on the MuddyUm Facebook page that I don't see just on Medium. Because I'm
Okay.
on Medium, there's like a trillion of writers on Medium. I mean, I can't possibly read all of those. So if I really want to read specifically for MuddyUm, I go to the Facebook page because then I know that I'm going to see the story.
All right, so there's some value to actually republishing it there. Okay. Good to know.
Yeah, and also, but I wanted to ask you a question about Slack. I mean, I'm on another Slack. Somebody else invited me from another Facebook group. I am very confused on there. So I'm glad you're talking about it. I really don't get, I mean, I'm just so busy. I was really, really busy. Things are slowed down now that Christmas is over. But I just don't even have time to understand what's going on there.
It's a complicated interface, and I'm techie.
Yeah.
But I know for me personally, that's for Janie, but I mean, I'll figure it out eventually. But like right now, it's kind of like, it looks like a free for all. I'm like, half the time, like Susan, you respond to some things. I'm like, I think she's talking to me, so I'm going to respond, but she might
Yeah,
be
I
talking
don't
to
get it.
somebody
I mean,
else.
is it one-on-ones or you just answer? I know on the side, there's different group, like different
Yeah.
topics.
Channels.
But it's a
Different channels.
combination. You can also like do you can tag your posts so that, and if you do that, the person that you tag, like I wrote, if I put it's like Medium in that you use an and sign. And if I just start S, it'll cut, and it starts type somebody's name, it'll cut down to that one. And when I do that, then they see it, whatever it is I'm putting there, they get a little notification about it.
Yeah.
So
That's
it's not
right.
private though. That's not private. To private
can
message is a
private- you
different thing.
can-
You can private message. It's very easy.
Yeah, that's called direct message. So
Yeah.
again, on the left, it'll say hashtag shameless self-promotion. That's where you can promote any piece you've written on Medium in any publication or self-published. Hashtag MuddyUm humorists is where we exclusively either share our MuddyUm writing, or we could say, hey, I have this great idea for a prompt, or which title do you like better? And you can get like humorists feedback. But when you see direct message, that's where I would start to type Susan's name or Quasimodo, whatever the person. That's where you can start a one-on-one.
And nobody else can see that?
And no one else can see that on those one-on-one direct messages. Yeah.
Yep,
that's
it'll
just
say
between-
direct message.
Yeah.
And when it's new, it'll say this is your first conversation with Susan B or something like that. So you'll know, okay, this is me and
It's
Susan.
like, you probably shouldn't be talking shit about everybody,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah. Does it warn
Hey,
you?
the editor's channel is locked.
Yeah, you can't get in, you can't see what the editors are saying amongst themselves. If you're an editor, you're in the editor's channel.
Yeah.
We talk about you all the time.
By the way, Lucia joined. She's on our editorial team.
Yeah. We also have a newsletter team, and Medium recently started so the newsletter team, they are a subset of editors who have agreed to commit to putting a newsletter out for MuddyUm once a week, and they have their own efforts and put newsletters together. And one of the things that we plan to do for this next year is do more collective kind of work, where if you're looking at the newsletters that we've been publishing up until this point, we're featuring collections of the best of MuddyUm. And so what gets our attention is this another reason, like, why would you want to post in a Facebook group? Well, because if you do enough of that, you're going to get more visibility in front of the editor's eyes, for your pieces, because as soon as somebody publishes something in the Facebook group, people's inclination is to go click on that and go read that piece. And they'll do that before they'll go to the MuddyUm main page on their computer and read, like magazine style. New people will often come into MuddyUm and read front page kind of newspaper magazine style. But for the people that are around for a while, they're clicking on the things that people are self-promoting and saying floating in front of their eyes. It's kind
Presumably
of
that's because you guys are following so much stuff.
yeah, because we
Right.
follow so much stuff. The editors are like so
Right.
engaged that we're following so much stuff.
Yeah, I'm still kind of fairly light on number of people and publications, so it seems like I see
probably
most
have-
of the things.
We have about probably a little over 400 writers around the world writing for MuddyUm. Now, some of them are way more active than others. In 2020, I ran paid contests where every quarter, like we picked our top 5 writers, and the top 5 writers actually were based on the number of volume, the volume that they put out. It wasn't really necessarily about quantity. It wasn't necessarily about quality, but I think, and then I paid them like out of my pocket. I paid the top 5 writers every quarter. This year, next year, we're going to do it different. I think we're gonna do, I don't know, it's going to have to shift to go based on quality, because our direction is to raise the level of quality just ever higher, so that we keep getting the attention of better and better writers, and we get the attention of the Medium curation staff, and that we're at the very top levels of visibility for management at Medium. So we have to have that shift to get better. We have to bring the quality up.
Since
So
you brought it up,
my focus is from an EIC standpoint is, constant growth and constant improvement in quality.
I was just going to say, since you brought it up, I imagine I can Google it, but you brought it up, the top writer badge designation, whatever. How does that
Yeah, I've
work?
wondered
Or
about that too.
So I can tell you up until this point how it worked, and actually one of our other editors, Sarah Price, and I were actually talking about that this morning, about how we have seen some changes to the top writer badge designation, which I think is for the best. But in the past, because I have this, IBM tech background, I quickly discovered that the way to get a top writer badge is just to outright everybody else in that category. So there is a list, and I have the list, I can share that list. There's a list of, and I think I shared it I wrote an article about this on Medium. There's a list of here are all the top writer badges. There's no point. So when you tag something, you have 5 tags on your article. And when you tag something, I always tell people, why tag something if it's not going to yield you some benefit? This is how we use Medium. So the benefit being, I want a top writer badge because that's credibility. That's my cred. So, and there's only a handful, I don't know, 100 or 150 top writer badges. And so use those 5 tags to get your top writer badges. Don't use a tag that doesn't contribute to a top writer badge. If I say,
makes sense.
That's what I was wondering about. So there's a
MuddyUm
place you can find them? That's what I'm
So
wondering.
there's a document. I'll point it out. I'll drop it in Slack, and after this call, I'll drop it in Slack and in Facebook. But MuddyUm writers own the badge, the tag, testicles. So there's more MuddyUm writers that write into the tag testicles than any other publication on the internet. I mean, on Medium. Yay! We own testicles. Who cares? You can't get a top writer badge in testicles, but we own it. We have all our writers own that tag, and we laugh about that. We think that's hilarious, but I'll never get a top writer badge for that. And what would it give me in the world anyway? So the top writer badges they're fixed, and Medium describes what they are, and you can go after them. How do you get them? Every time you write an article, you tag it with the name of the top writer badge you want. And so that means you need to have the list. So we have that list. Then there are only 50 people at any point in time. And this is a rolling thing. We don't know what the algorithm is. Is it a 30-day calendar? But I'm pretty sure it's a rolling thing because it doesn't just flip at the end of the month. So it's pretty rolling. And basically the algorithm says, if you've written more pieces in that tag than anyone else, and you're in that top 50 category, you get a top writer badge.
So it's definitely, they're pushing a quantity thing though.
Yes, they're pushing a quantity thing. And so up until now, they have been pushing quantity. And so I figured that out very early on, and I'm constantly helping people get their top writer badge because that's your cred in the outside world, right? I am a top writer. Now, and why do I say that? Because I have a coach who, in the outside world, he started years ago in Medium, and he had figured this out as well. And he goes around in the outside world, even today, even though he doesn't really even write on Medium anymore, even today, he says, I was the top writer for Medium. And that statement alone has opened doors for him like you cannot believe. And he has published, New York Times bestsellers, and he's done all this work just by saying, I was the top writer. And no one challenges that statement. No one says, well, how did you get there? What did you have to do? What was your process to get? how is it that you were the top writer? And it's, you know, it's a spin. No one is the top writer on Medium. But if you say, if somebody pokes at that bear, what he would say was, well, you know, I was top writer, you know, for 12 months running in the category of, and then that's all well, but who's betting? Nobody's betting.
And those categories are things like humor or, I mean, like the stuff that you put the tags on,
I
the topics.
have
Satire.
I have
Humor,
another question
pets,
for you, Susan, when you get a chance.
relationships, advice. This happened to me. I have the
Oh,
list.
yeah.
You'll get the list. You'll get the list.
I
The,
understand.
if you go to somebody's profile, does it tell you what they're a top writer in someplace?
Yes.
It used to.
Well,
It doesn't
you
seem
still
to
can
now
find
because
it.
I can't find it on, for example,
They changed
my,
it.
They
yeah, and
changed it on the computer, but if you're on the phone, you can still see it. And if you go and click on, those are hot links. So if you go find a tag for satire, if you search for top satire writers on Medium, and then you can get the list of who are the top satire writers. You basically could do a screenshot because they changed this. You could, if you're on that list, you could do a screenshot and send that to your people that you're, you know, that you're.
yeah,
They don't show up on the on people's profiles.
No, they don't. Not in the new
They used to.
version.
They
Yeah.
used to.
Because
but-
I've never even seen what you're talking about. I only know what you're talking about because I saw in your bio that you said you were a top writer.
Right. Yeah.
My brother got one, which is weird. He's like such a niche writer on me.
It's not even a writer, right?
He's
So
a
you
writer,
will get,
but
like, you
he,
can't see this. Like right now, I lost all my top writer badges because I've been focused on building editorial team, so I haven't been doing a writing. But like on my phone version, when I look at my profile, my phone version, it says top writer in ideas.
I'm gonna have
Ideas
to
is one
try
of the
that.
top writer
Hang on.
badges. And it's within 30 days, literally, you can get 20 top writer badges, no problem, if you're a prolific writer. I had
They don't have to be published by a publication.
No.
They just have to be posted.
they have to be posted. They don't
So you
have
just,
to.
right, okay, I
But
understand.
why? But the point here, from a strategy standpoint, is why would you not why would you not post in a publication that already has a readership of 5,000 people?
Well, of course. Well, if you couldn't,
the
if you
collective,
couldn't,
the power of
presumably.
the collective. You know, if you
Okay.
have, if somebody's like looking at your pieces and they're adding it to their newsletters, then of course there's always power in the collective. So,
So,
but
where do you
so
see it
you
on
can
the
still
on the
see
phone app? Where is it? I'm looking on my brother's one because I manage his account because what it is, it's a bunch of prison memoirs, and I used to like I manage it because he couldn't put anything on it, and I managed his email that was connected to it and everything. And one time I got this email that said, "You're a top writer, and that's what happened to me." And I'm like, you know, where is it? Maybe.
Right.
That was
They
a long time ago.
disappear.
Here's another thing that I'm glad you mentioned that. So one of the shifts that we've seen in the last, I want to say like 30, 60 days is that, so it used to be when you got a top writer badge, they send you an email. Medium sends you an email and says, congratulations, based on your performance in, you know, blah, 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 you now are a top writer in this category. And then they would say in that email, to keep your top writer badge, just keep writing, which directly hit that, you know, volume. As long as you outwrite somebody else. If somebody wrote 30 pieces in that tag, but you wrote 31,
Yeah,
you're ahead of them in the pile, right? You're ahead
he-
of them in the algorithm.
he probably dropped off.
Now, I stopped
It'll
writing,
disappear.
so now there's not a lot of people. I still have my ideas, right? I haven't written in 2 months. Published it. I still have that writer badge. Why is that? Because nobody's outwritten me in the whole, you know, rolling cycle.
I never
Nobody-
thought of using the tag ideas, and that brings up a point I think you've said before, where some of the top writer badges, humor and satire, possibly are a couple of the more popular ones. Obviously, the more people using those tags, the harder it is to.
Yes, and there's a
secure.
strategy there too, and I talked about that in my article. And there in
Yeah.
the article, there's so in that list that I'm talking about with top writer badges, they actually show saturation. So they basically say, You know, there's 50 badges, there's 50 spots available for these badges, and this badge has 14 people, which means like just write one piece and you're in. So
Yeah,
there are
something
some
like that.
tags. There's some tags that are so easy to get based on.
You guys, I have to go. I
Okay.
just wanted to say thank
Alrighty.
you, everybody.
Happy
I
New
have to go
Year,
do some stuff.
New
Nice
Year,
seeing everybody.
Janie.
What?
Happy to see you.
Yes,
Happy New Year and see everybody on Medium or
Happy New
Slack
Year.
or some other
figured
place.
21 just has to be better than 2020.
Yep, right about it.
Oh, don't jinx
yeah.
it, please.
Well,
You would hope- we're
21 is
hopeful,
gonna
right?
be a good year.
I believe
there's
you
one-
about all of the writers badges, but it doesn't appear on the website, on my iPad or on my
Yeah.
phone.
Yeah, you got to go. Oh, it's on your phone. Maybe you don't have one yet.
I don't
I
have
mean
it.
on anybody.
Yeah,
If I can look at the top writer that's got thousands of blah,
Oh,
blah,
it's
blah, blah,
still on
blah.
mine. It's still on my phone profile.
Let
I
me
have to
look at
go
your
on
phone
my phone
profile.
app and I have to go to my profile and there it is. But what I wanted to say is you get this email that says you have a top writer badge. And now what happens is they tell you that you get it. And Sarah noted that this last top writer badge that she got this week basically told her that these are the articles, and they gave her back the links of the articles that they pulled out and said it's because of these articles we gave you a top writer badge. So they're shifting from just volume alone to quality and what got distributed, what got curated and distributed.
Oh,
And so
good.
the quality thing now is playing larger. It's playing an element, whereas before it was not an element at all.
You'll have to write a new updated article when we learn more.
I will.
So I'm not seeing anything. I got your profile right here.
Yeah.
And I'm not seeing anything on it
You're not seeing that I have a top writer in ID.
other than in your bio.
Oh, that I say top writer on me.
Yeah.
That's so interesting because when I look at mine, I don't know if you can see it,
Well, it's hard to see it, but
but right here it says top writer in ideas.
oh, okay. It's not on here. See?
Huh.
It's not in my app either. I went to Susan Brewerly and it doesn't say.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting? It's different on yours.
And it doesn't say it on my brother's. He probably dropped
So
off
maybe we can only see our own top writer badges.
though. Yeah.
And other people can't.
Other things are dropping out of you can't see your own comments on the web app anymore. And it's like,
Yeah, so
Mhm.
so David, one of the things that you're hearing here is, you know, as Rachel mentioned, it's experimental. And one of the pet peeves I think a lot of people have with Medium is they are not transparent. They are as far away from transparent as you can possibly be.
yeah.
They don't tell, at least like, so I have friends who are musicians and they put their stuff up on, you know, Spotify, they put their stuff out there that where they get, you know, a pay per click or a pay per listen or a pay per how, and the musicians know the algorithm. They know that they can be frustrated because they can say, damn it, I have to have, 50,000 people listening to this one tune so I can get a cup of coffee, and they have some meat behind their argument.
Yeah.
We don't even
Well,
get that.
That's the new medium, though. I mean, no pun intended there, but that's the new, if you look at Netflix, they don't tell you how many people watched. They're starting to now, but, it was kind of like, yeah, it was successful. That's all I'm going to tell you. So
Right.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, so
They
there's
want to own all of that.
And so, from my personal pet peeve, one of my personal pet peeves is that Medium takes advantage of the writer in the sense that if you are a writer and you love your craft and you're passionate about it, the second you start getting paid, you get a little bit of money, you're so excited because you're like, oh, we love the craft. We love what we do. That's usually the people that stick around on Medium are the ones that are absolutely passionate and love what they do, and they love to write and they love to engage with other writers and they love to read. And, you know, just like Facebook takes advantage of the eyeballs, Medium takes advantage of the fact that writers.
But I was never really doing it for the money anyway. And I spent years
Well, that's
never
what they're
making
taking
any, so-
advantage of. Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
well, they're taking the fuck advantage of me.
It-
why not?
and that's fine. And that's fine as long as, you know, eyes wide open.
Yeah.
I'm a big
I don't need the
proponent of,
money.
you know that they're using you and use them for your own ends. And that's my pitch. That's my thing.
Yeah, which has turned out to be like, it's sort of Facebook meets what, Blogspot.
Yeah,
And-
kind
which
of,
is
yeah.
like those blogging sites, you write on those and it's like you're like screaming into a cave or something. It's like
Right.
like there's nobody there.
Right.
And my brother went out on, and in fact, it changed over to Blogspot. I said, you know, nobody's ever going to read that shit. But no, he's got this hyper niche thing, so he's hoping for that to happen.
I
only have
write to
two-
my own websites, my own
Yeah.
blogs, which I do mostly because, like, even if I'm putting things out on, like, I have a pretty big audience on Facebook.
Your sound cut out. I
Oh.
can't hear it.
Oh, wait, what happened? Your sound cut out.
Hold on.
Oh, now
Oh, there
you're
you
back.
are.
Now you're back.
The sound has been a little twitchy.
I
and
Yeah, it's
just
going in and
twitchy.
out. Yeah.
That happens to you, Susan.
Oh,
It's
Sorry.
my dim.
Yeah, we hear you kind of now. Just kind of keep it up and maybe we'll get some of it.
yeah, keep going. You're good.
think it's my damn. Well, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yes.
right now.
I don't know. What was I saying? Oh, that I said I have a pretty good audience on social media, and so, but I don't like the idea that I was posting things to Facebook, and then I periodically get kicked off Facebook anyway because I post a lot of political things.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, I'm going to put all this somewhere else. So even if I'm going to
Yeah.
post the article, I'm not going to post the whole thing to. This is what I do I'm in branding for a living, so I tell my clients, it's like, we're not going to post your whole, whatever you want to say, we're not going to post it on social media. We're going to post a link to wherever we want to drive you to. So we're driving them to their website. So I do the same thing. So now I'm just doing the same thing with Medium. The downside of that potentially is I have to think about, okay, if they're not a Medium subscriber,
Yeah.
they're cut off at 3.
Yeah.
So I have to
Right.
think about, well, I might not post all of those to everything I write. I might not necessarily post to Medium because if I post everything to Medium, I'm going to restrict that audience to just the Medium crowd now, because I have other people that follow me that would read it elsewhere.
Right.
Yeah.
There's one other consideration, I think. And so over the years, I've seen a couple of publications get kicked off. And you
I'm
have to
sorry, hang
be
on.
you have to be really egregiously breaking rules for this to happen. But I've seen it happen where Medium basically kicked off the writer, the editor, the publication, the whole thing just went away. In fact, under Outlaws, I think I have a post about, what happens when you one day your publication just goes away, your editor goes away. And what happens in those cases is, you back up all your stuff, so you always have the material. But if you personally get kicked off, you lose all your material unless you backed it off. You backed it up. And Medium, if you are a contributor to a publication, like let's say I really piss somebody off someday, which I'm not trying to do, and I'm very, very consciously. I'm thinking about, like, I studied with Scott Dickers and he's got all the horror stories about, lawsuits and stuff in satire. So, I'm really conscious about, that what I'm building here, I have to be the guardian of the space so that we protect all of our rights in the space. So we don't piss off Medium. We have to remember we're on their platform. So we have to take whatever precautions we need for our material and for our people. But in the case where, let's say, randomly I got kicked off of Medium and MuddyUm just got, as a publication, they pulled the plug. Every single piece that you published in the publication reverts to a private piece. It's no longer in a publication, but it still exists on Medium. That's how they handle that. And I've seen that happen with, you know, editors that crossed whatever line they crossed. And the lines that they crossed weren't in content. The lines they crossed were in pushing the boundaries on Medium's rules. And so their rules and guidelines about what they tolerate and what they don't tolerate, they you know, they.
Oh God, yeah, I got a thinly veiled nastygram once that was about how I didn't even know it was against the Medium rules, but I had two articles that were actually the same, but one of them was on a invisible publication. And I got this email that started and it said Medium rules, blah, 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 and one of them said something about duplicate publications, and I'm like,
Yeah, it's a big
that
one.
was directly to me, you know.
Yes,
They're
that's
just
a
giving
big.
me this little warning. So,
That is probably the
so
number
I just
one.
deleted one of them.
It's the number one egregious thing. So people that were making a lot of money in the early days of Medium, when they first turned on the paywall, what they would do is they would publish an article and then they would tweak it just slightly, maybe change the title. They
Yeah,
would
and then
change the content
publish
at
it
all, and then
again and
republish it a
again,
month later.
because yeah,
And then, you know, thinking, well, we're gonna, you know, it worked the first time, we'll keep. So Medium said, no, we're not allowed to do that again. It's got to be original content every time out the shoot.
although there's that Medium magazine called Recycled, where you take an old one. In fact, I've started this. It's like you completely revamp it. It doesn't look like they cross boundaries that way. In fact, I took the 5 first things I published on Medium.
What
and
they
I'm
want
gonna-
you to do is delete the old one. So
Yeah,
you can
well, we're
take
gonna
your
delete
old
the old
copy.
ones. Yeah,
You can
Yep.
take your old
you can put the
copy.
new one on there.
You can murder your darlings. You can refresh it. You can change the title. You delete the first
Right.
article, and then you publish your new one, and that's perfectly within
Mhm.
their guidelines.
But is it?
I've done that.
Is it, if you just recycled the same thing and then deleted the first one, would that run you afoul? I
I
wonder. It
would
seems like cheating, you know.
refresh it. I would refresh it. And anyway, if you're growing as a writer, the thing you
You're not
published a
gonna
year
like
ago
it.
is
Yeah.
crap.
I reread that stuff and I was like, what? Why didn't I why didn't I do this, that, and the other thing?
You know, if you're still in love with the thing you published 2 years ago, then you know,
This is 5 years ago.
yeah, then you know, it needs to be refreshed.
Lucio wins for best lighting.
Yeah,
What?
really.
Yeah. I love the
Usually I
wooden
have the
walls.
worst lighting.
Yeah, the fireplace and all the wooden walls behind you. It's pretty.
Yeah, that's nice. This is just so dingy in here, big old file cabinet and shit. But that back
Good
there is
contrast.
I didn't play with my lighting today.
geological map of Rhode Island showing you like which rock formations are from the Triassic and shit like that. It's like one of the coolest things.
Speaking of which, where is everybody from? I'm curious now.
Good question.
Rhode
Poughkeepsie, New
Island.
York. Poughkeepsie, New York.
Oh, okay. I've been there.
I've been
Rhode
there for
Island.
Poughkeepsie.
What about you, David?
I'm in Cape May, New Jersey,
Oh, wow. I've
which
been
is
there
the
too.
southernmost tip
Yes, I
of
know
the
what it is.
beach.
I grew up in New Jersey, but up in
Ah.
the northern part.
I'm in North Carolina.
Oh, okay.
Whereabouts?
I've been there too.
I'm the
Everyone-
Charlotte area.
Oh, I never been there.
Okay. And what about you?
Rachel?
Oh, I missed where you're from
Me?
or where
Yes.
you are now.
Where I am now? Rhode
Yeah.
Island. Rhode Island is a
Rhode
fun
Island,
place
okay.
to live.
So
Before the
everyone-
pandemic, we had a really great like small theater. I volunteered in some of them. I even got on. Well, I do a lot of singing, but
He's
You know,
definitely not from Rhode Island.
I'm not from Rhode Island because I'm not.
You don't
saying-
have the accent.
Yeah, my daughter has it. She doesn't even know it. I sometimes call her out on it, and she's like, "No, I don't speak like a Rhode Islander."
Well, you are all on the East Coast, and I am in Minnesota.
Wow, that is cool.
Yeah,
Whereabouts in Minnesota?
I was in North Dakota until I was 18, and then I've been
Hmm.
mostly in Minnesota. So brief stint in Colorado, but mostly Midwestern.
Mm.
I didn't recognize it until she actually said Minnesota, and then you can hear it.
And now you'll have me pegged with the accent.
Yeah.
Oh
Years
yeah.
ago, my sister and I went to Texas, and she's been in North Dakota her whole life. My older sister, and fairly northern North Dakota, and this server at a restaurant got the biggest kick out of hearing her talk, and she kept saying, "Say this, say that, say this," and they kept thinking, everyone's like, "Oh, you must be from Canada." Like everyone thought she was Canadian.
Mm.
It's fairly similar, that northern, accent and
It's
the
just like in,
Canadians. I do a lot of work in Canada too, so it's got a lot of the, especially like out west, like Calgary and stuff like that, Alberta.
And I think because I've been in a city now more of my adult life, and she's always been very rural North Dakota, living on a farm. We grew up not far from Canada, so it makes sense.
mm.
Well, urban and rural is such a different accent in America, like so much of because of pop culture, like we're in South Jersey. New Jersey is the most densely populated state in the country. This isn't like, you don't think of it as being rural hillbilly country, but the people out here, they think they're in the South. I mean, we are actually technically, we're farther south than
Oh, New
Baltimore.
Jersey is the northernmost southern state.
Well, especially down the south part of the state, and but if you notice between country music and so much, like if you go to farm country in just about any state, they got a
It's
little
the
bit of
same
a
shit.
twang, and it
Yeah.
doesn't matter. They could be in Rhode
Absolutely.
Island.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
Absolutely.
way of life.
So true. Little known fact that my mother shared with me. So weird. I was conceived in Cape May.
Okay.
That's totally cool.
And so going to Cape May and Wildwood, that's like my salmon swimming upstream. Like once a year,
Right.
I get really itchy and I gotta go to the Jersey Shore. Like I gotta go.
So you must be into Bruce Springsteen then.
I wasn't really. That's North
Yeah.
Jersey. He was North Jersey.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah, he's
grew
more
up
of a-
in Berks County. That's right next to Lancaster County, amongst
Oh,
the
okay.
Amish and Mennonites, and talk about twang. I mean, I had to take I had elocution lessons, drop my Pennsylvania Dutch accent.
Well, it's funny between the two of you, from basically with a couple of year exceptions, from kindergarten to 8th grade, I went to a Mennonite school
Oh wow.
in Montgomery County, Pennsylvania, and grew up with all those farm kids. But my family's from Oklahoma, and I grew up all over the country:
Mm.
Tennessee, Illinois, Oklahoma, Pennsylvania. So but now I've been living here for 25 years. So I don't have a New Jersey accent, but I definitely have a Northeast accent.
Mm.
Last time I was in Cape May over the summer, I noticed there's a new Harriet Tubman in the
Brand new.
Village Museum.
Just
brand new.
opened.
Did it
Just
open?
opened the museum. I haven't even been in it yet.
Nice.
Because it opened and then COVID hit soon after.
Yeah, that's brand new. I was pretty excited when I drove by it. I was like, look at this,
Yeah.
there's a Harriet Tubman Museum here.
The guy who funded a lot of it and really kind of got it off the ground is a writer. He actually just started you can look this up. He and his wife are both writers. They retired to Cape May from DC. They're both political writers. He actually writes for Rolling Stone. His name's Bob Dreyfus. And he was irritated that Cape May City, doesn't have a proper news publication. And so he just started the Cape May Sentinel.
Oh, nice.
And basically it's like he's reporting on what like City Hall's doing, because our, not to get political, but he happens to be a screaming liberal, as I am, and most of our local politics are very conservative. And so he's trying to be that weirdo voice, but he's the guy who actually got a lot of that going and raised the money for it.
Oh, cool. Maybe the next thing you know, you'll have like a little Soho down there, and then all the writers will come. I'll come. I'll definitely come.
Well, the
I
funny
like
thing
it.
is you would appreciate this. So I live in the little village of Goshen, which is non-incorporated nothing. But we're kind of in the sticks. And back in the day, they used to make fun of this area as being very hillbilly-ish, but we probably have more writers per square mile than most of the other areas,
Wow.
not on purpose, just happenstance. So we have all my good buddy of mine, 40 acres, but he's got this barn that the Amish built, and he uses his studio. He's a painter.
Nice.
And he has all kinds of functions and readings and concerts. And so we've quite a lot going on for being in the middle of
Well,
solid Trump country.
I'm encouraged by that, because last time I was there and I was talking about moving, to the Jersey Shore area, and my son, we go on vacation, and we went to breakfast right there on the Cape May shorefront, and he said, Mom, seriously, listen to the conversations that are happening here in the restaurant. You would not be happy here.
I wrote an article that went viral. It was like 50,000 views about just a bad incident. This is for my Standard. This is the website that's down. Somebody was just the owner of Elaine's, which is a bar, theater, whatever, just went off on this guy because he said he was voting for Biden. And, it was like way out of hand, regardless of whatever your politics are. And ended up getting picketed, and all the artists dropped out. All the artists left the studio. So it's been a thing, and we're hoping maybe it'll go back to a little bit of normal, but it's definitely a conservative area, but we have this weird pocket of artists and liberalism.
Nice.
So.
I like it. I'm encouraged. I love that. I'm glad you shared that. Also, you will find that most of the MuddyUm writers are fairly liberal minded, and there's a good number that write political satire, which is always fun. And we're not against having people who are conservative be humorists. We welcome that, but we do have a kind of a toleration policy, no misogyny, like there's a line that we won't cross.
It's hard to find actual funny conservatives.
It is. It totally is. I mean, we've had a few over the years, but they drop out. They drop out because, they drop out because there's no audience for it. Like,
well, part of it is
funny.
If you're to play with humor, involves playing with truth, but you have to begin with the truth.
You do. You do have to begin with the truth. Absolutely.
Yeah, I like, it seems like the conservative articles on Medium seem to have like one topic, and that's crabbing about how Medium is dominated by liberals.
Yeah, I know. That's right.
So
and there's a lot of them and then they just drop away. And so, okay, fine.
In fact, I asked the guy, I said, I think it was part of a response, and he was saying something. I said, look, I would be glad to read something that wasn't just crabbing about this, and you write something, I'm going to, and you tag me and I will read it. Don't worry about it.
There's a conservative version of The Onion, but I can't remember what it's called.
Yes, there is. And I forget the name of it too.
And it's mostly bad, but I've read a couple of them that I thought that's funny. It's
is it the Babylon? Is it the Babylon Bee?
Yes, I think you're right.
The Babylon Bee, yeah.
And some of them are pretty good.
Yeah, but they're not consistent. It's not consistent though. So I went to Scott Dickers, was the longest running editor-in-chief of the Onion. And I have gone through his comedy business school. And so I'm a follower of all his work. And when I get new writers and they're trying to develop their funny voice, I always recommend the Dickers books, How to Write Funny, How to Write Funnier, How to Write Funniest, because he really lays it out. It really is good material. Mark Twain was an amazing satirist, and he was a staunch anti-imperialist. He was writing satire. He belonged to organizations that were against American imperialist ambitions. And, you know, there's a long tradition of satire and comedy being on that side. So that's not changing anytime soon.
Well, I mean, if you look at what Dalton Trumbo and all those guys were doing back. I mean, you know, the subversive nature of a lot of what they were writing was pretty incredible at the time, and nobody got it. You know, it was like, oh,
Right.
okay, it's a nice story.
Yeah, they don't get it. Yeah, that's the best satire, is where people think that it's, yeah, nice story, or it's real. Yeah, or it's like,
Right.
how could you?
That's
Actually, that disturbs me when I write something and I go like, that's all a joke.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
like, that's a
and
little
somebody
too
doesn't
real.
get it. But I had a story, it was fiction. I mostly write fiction, and that's what I like to write, although recently I haven't written that much. And one of them was a story that everybody thought was real. It had this guy in it, and he has this friend who's an older lady, and she gets COVID and dies. And everybody was on there responding saying, "Oh, I'm sorry to hear about your friend." And I even had it tagged under fiction. And I'm like, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that's
but,
why we've started putting kickers on all our pieces.
yeah,
You know, it's like, it's satire, it's right up there, it's on the kicker. You know,
I just
mean,
wrote
you can put whatever you want on your kicker. You don't feel like you have to make the kicker be a tag. It can be,
Yeah.
you know, that's whatever line you want that kicker to be.
I had fun with the ticker. That was the first time I used it, when I put that little.
Yeah, they're a lot of
satire
fun. Yeah, you
in
can
there.
get really creative with kickers. So
I didn't
have,
even know about it until then.
so I have a question for you, because we're, as fun as this is, we could go on and on and on here. And we can, if you like, but I do want to ask if this is valuable, if we think we should do this, maybe like, I don't know, once a month, the editors right now we have a weekly, we get together with our editorial team once a week and we talk about editorial stuff. But maybe we should have a Zoom, you know, at some frequency for, you know, editors and writers and anybody who wants to drop in and talk
yeah,
about
like
whatever's
maybe
going
like a
on.
monthly happy hour.
Kind of.
Yeah,
What
it
do you
could be. It
think?
doesn't have to be necessarily technical like this one. Although if you were to like some of the things that came up on here, I wish I had had a pad and jotted them down. Like,
I'm recording it. It's
oh, okay,
recording.
so
So you can come, I'm going to post the recording to Slack and the Facebook group. So you can always go
so
back.
my mug is going to be back on Facebook. Okay.
Oh, great. I mean, I guess I washed my hair today, so that's good.
I got off
No.
Facebook because I was like, "Ugh, this is
Jeannie was the first
of
one
the
on, and she
devil."
said, was it? No, it wasn't Janie. Never mind. I was on another call this morning, and somebody said, I took a shower for this meeting.
I'm wearing pants, I promise you.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to say quickly, relating to, you know, satire and liberalism and things, and people not noticing your tag or your topic. So right now I'm experiencing my highest earning story. It's earned just a little over $100. And it is,
I'm impressed.
to me, it's clearly satire. It's called Nose Holes Connect. Study.
Oh, I
saw that.
Nose
That's-
Holes
Oh, that
Connect.
one.
Good.
Science proves. Yeah.
And yeah, and as happens with popular things, I started getting these long responses about how they clearly didn't notice it was humor.
Yeah.
And one person was saying, "You're writing this article telling people to wear masks and, you know,
And you're
they
just
could
you
overdose on
sheep.
carbon dioxide and all this stuff." And yeah, so you know, when you're getting the haters, like, first of all, there's a kicker and a tag, you know, it says humor, it says satire, it's ridiculous. It says scientists doing science was the study. I mean, I don't know how, and so it just makes you think, I don't know, how can
If
you
your article
miss
is
it? Like,
blown up, if
that's
your
when you
article
know
is
it, they're
blown
not your
up,
people.
Oh, if your article blows up, you're sure to get haters.
well, I was just
Right.
going to say, but if your article blows up, it's very possible that it's going out onto social media, and then so then if you get one conservative
of context.
person
Oh.
and take it out of context and
Yeah.
say, this is what they're talking
Snowballs.
about.
Yeah, I
And then they're
figured out.
presenting it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I figured out the way it.
They miss the Onion articles, you know, they
Yeah.
they get caught up with
Someone in a
those.
Facebook group accused me. Like I posted it in a Facebook group, not a writers group. It was like a Pandemic Diaries Facebook group, and I was like, "Here's some pandemic humor," and someone commented, "Stolen from the Onion," and I was like,
Yeah.
"I
That
wrote
is high
this."
praise, man.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
said,
That is
That's how
high
I
"I
feel.
wrote
praise.
this. Do you have the link to the Onion article that I supposedly stole it from?"
Yeah, but
Of
that
course
is
not.
high praise. If you get, if you get compared to an Onion article, and I remember when that happened, Rachel, and
Yeah, you've seen it.
yeah, I think the conversation at the time was, there's no new ideas. There's just spins on this and that, and
Right.
there is no one owns the patent to how you craft a funny piece.
Right.
No
There
one
could
owns
very
that.
well be a similar piece somewhere out there. I mean, I would be kind of surprised if there wasn't.
So in my interactions with Scott Dickers and his groups, everybody's, writing humor, writing comedy, all of this, there is a formula,
Mhm.
and master the formula and spin your material. And Dickers isn't saying, how dare you use my formula that I made money on my book with, teaching you how to do that. How dare you?
How do you spell that, Dickers?
Dikkers. So,
That's what I thought.
anybody,
Why didn't I submit it to the Onion? Do they pay?
They pay.
The Onion's
Yeah.
a different organization now, but
Yeah.
I would guess that they do. I don't know, but I mean, hey, I do writing coaching if you want to, work on your pitches and how to get big gigs. I'm there for you. But David, your point is valid. It's like if you have an article that blows up, blows up for any number of reasons, just take the money. It doesn't matter. Like the more, and part of strategy in, one of my favorite writers, I was just talking about this morning, one of my favorite writers was Dashiell Hammett. And Dashiell Hammett in his day, he wrote The Maltese Falcon, he wrote these, really well-known pieces, but before he came to the well-known pieces, he was a struggling writer, just like anybody who's writing, doing freelancing. He was a freelancer. And he would write short stories and he would submit them. And he would an article here, a magazine here. There was nothing online. So he did the effective same thing that we do as a freelancer, where we go pitch a thing and say, here's a story, here's a story, here's a story. You want to pay me $2? You want to pay me $3? You want to pay me, it's like, okay, fine, and some people would take his stuff and run it, and some people would pay him a tiny little bit of money, and he never made a lot of money on his material. But he was a prolific writer, and he shopped the stuff around, and he did essentially what we do as writers in the freelance world. It's exactly what he did. And occasionally he'd have a piece that would blow up and make a little bit of extra money for him, but that was his entire life. And this is no different, except that now we still have nostalgia for print media because it's fun. Print media is fun. It's fun to smell the ink and feel the pages and have the thing in your hand.
Zines. Remember zines?
Yeah, zines.
God,
But
yeah,
what we
zines.
do
I had a
now is no
zine.
different than what Dashiell Hammett did
Yeah.
back in his day, except for print media. And we don't, we can feel nostalgic about what was, but it's the same gig.
I don't have any. I'm a photographer, and I don't have any love of the old analog. I'm fine with digital. I don't need any more chemicals. I'm a paper journal leather guy. I haven't handwritten anything in freaking decades.
Oh God,
I
I can
have
barely
a
hold
computer.
a pencil. Oh,
I have a
my-
I have an
my
iPad.
hand.
I don't even read the magazines that I get, whatever paper ones I get anymore. And I hate that, but it's like, it's just a reality. Everything comes digitally to me now.
Yeah.
I still read the New York Review of Books. I get that, and I read it like practically cover to cover, like every time. I don't know why. It just has good stuff in it.
I even let that one go. I just get it. It's all my New York Times is digital now. I don't
Yeah,
even bother with
New York
paper.
Times-
The paper was stacking up.
The crossword digital is harder because you fill in all the squares on paper and you think you got it. Whereas you do it on the computer and, all right, I got all the squares filled in. You're telling me it's not right yet? What's wrong with you?
Just print it.
Yeah, you can print it and fill it in. But you'd have to screenshot it because it won't really let you print it, I don't think. I haven't even tried it.
So funny. So
Well, listen, I
anyway,
appreciate it. I need to go, but I appreciate
Yep.
everybody's
Yeah.
time. That was helpful. And
Good.
I'm interested, it's interesting. To me, it's about, I like the idea of being able to publish things on a regular basis quickly. It's one of the reasons why I don't publish for money as often, because I create for a living. So I'm kind of get that out of my system. And what other parts that I do, I don't do for money. But the whole idea is like, oh, I'll get back to you in 3 to 6 months. It's like, I don't care at that point.
Yeah,
I'm kind
exactly.
of done. I already wrote it.
yeah, and that's my commitment. That I'm probably one of only, if maybe the only editor on, and the team is there with me, and also, by the way, we're always looking for additional editors to train. But David, your writing is funny. You guys, your writing is funny, and we're looking for that quality, and the commitment is 24-hour turnaround, and we do our best. I mean, every once in a while I get a text from somebody like, is there any, it's like, oh, 30 hours have gone by. Is there any reason you didn't publish my thing yet? And I'm like, holidays, spending time with my son.
I'm still used to the idea that A, it could take months. B, the answer could be no.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
The idea that it takes a long time to get published is like, to get published is still, granted, it's working for free, but whatever.
Many editors are like, sorry, this isn't a good fit for us, and then they reject your piece, and then you are left holding the, well, why? Well, what is the reason? Well, give me something constructive. And so
I've had that happen where I thought it was better than the last one you accepted. Like, why are you,
Editors,
our
everybody's
philosophy
got their own thing.
is turn around, get it done, get it in, get it out. That's why we can always use more editors. But, like you have some standards, and we're going to ask our writers more and more to elevate the level of their adherence to the standards and the quality of the piece, and then we will bring our skill to bear, and we will give feedback, and we will turn it around. So that's the way I'm leading.
I have one more question for you guys, since I know you're writing on Medium. The non-funny, essay-oriented, I don't know, culture, lifestyle, blah, 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 blah. Who's your favorite publications for that?
There's so many, but
I
mean, I like my other three, but they're really tiny and they have tiny audiences.
I've marked
but
all
they
those. I just haven't had a
really
chance to
fast.
read them yet.
So the other publications I have, one's called Contemplate, one's called To the Summit. Is that what it's called?
Yep.
oh, there's
Like a
cool.
To the Summit, and the other one's called Law of Connections. And so
I-
Law of Connections has a Mother Earth environmental tone to it. It's about, how everything's interconnected with each other. We're all interconnected with each other and the planet.
The first one
To
that
the
I ever- I'm
Summit
sorry.
is very performance-based, achievement-based, business-focused, kind of, lessons learned, that kind of thing. Contemplate is very much emotional, not just emotional, but spiritual. It's kind of like the deeper level writing. A former editor of ours, Amy Gramlin, has a publication called Age of Empathy, and that's also
seen
very,
that.
very, very, very deep. And there's a lot of really good, very good writers there. There are some people who will go for and with your with your level of writing, you shouldn't have any problems getting into the bigger publications like the Ascent or the Startup. I publish for them, but not a lot because I just got fed up with, wait for 3 weeks until they come back and say, oh no, it's not for us. Like, just tell me.
Yeah,
Tell me straight up. Like, I mean, your queue, is your queue really that big? Seriously.
Probably not.
And so, I mean, but people go to those because they say, well, they have 100,000 followers. Well, we'll have that too. We'll come to that point, but their excuse is because they're not doing their editorial job. And the excuse for not doing the editorial job is, well, I don't get paid for it. Well, why did you start a publication?
Yeah, you knew you weren't going to get paid for
I don't
it.
have any sympathy for that. So, like, my reputation is on this thing. This is my baby. This is my thing. This is how we're going to run it. These are the rules. I'm running it as a real editor. So if you want to be an editor, be an editor. And so that's why I just kind of get fed up with that whole game. But
Yeah.
I mean, when I was in high school, I've been writing and editing and doing journalism since I was in filming. So, and I'll have a lot of patience for some of the bullshit, but it is a lofty goal. The goal I have set is my goal. And I'm full steam ahead going for that goal. I want the money. I want to pay the writers. I want it to be funded. So,
paid editors and paid authors.
Yeah, all of it. Paid editors, paid authors, all of it. But that means, we got to operate in a certain way. So. Yeah.
Well, have a happy New Year, everyone.
Yeah, before you go, I got to show you my custom masks. I learned to sew, and see, I got skulls.
I like.
That's very of the moment.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I have here it comes. I'm not putting them on. I'm just the coronavirus itself. Okay? That's a cool one. And then I got
I'm impressed.
this is
that
a
you
little
learned to
more
sew.
esoteric. The medieval plague doctor.
Nice. I like that one.
I've made so many of them now, and that's what I gave away instead of Christmas cookies this year.
Oh,
But they
what a
were
good
like
idea.
with holly and snowflakes and stuff like that. I gave
Nice,
away a
your
whole,
mask.
except to my sister because she's a Trumper and she wouldn't appreciate it.
What's your actual name, Quasimodo?
Oh, I'll put it back here.
Quasimodo.
It's not like it's a secret. A
You can't
friend of
put it.
mine nicknamed.
Maybe
me
you were in the wetness
Quasimodo.
protection
Oh,
program or
alright.
something.
No, it came because I got one of my shoulders has this weird bump in it as a result of a bicycle accident. And one of my friends when I first got it, she started calling me Quasimodo. So it just sort of stuck.
Well, and you said you sang, so.
Yeah, well, that's in fact, I put that article on Shameless Self-Promotion, the one about the gospel choir where we did this one outdoor concert this year. And
Love that. Yeah.
and you got like an hour and change video of the whole thing on that article. It's a really good video. If you ever get a chance to watch it, the sound quality came out pretty good. Some of it's like way back, but then there are close-ups of some of the singers and stuff like that, and it really came out quite well. We had fun.
Have
Well,
to
I
look.
thank you all, my friends.
Yeah.
I will I'll look into seeing about scheduling kind of like a monthly editor writer MuddyUm Zoom happy hour.
Yes, in other
Yeah.
words, not necessarily all technical, but just more like, what do you do?
When are you sending out the
Yeah,
rum?
but technical's good.
Sending out the what, Rachel?
When are you sending out the rum for this happy hour?
Oh yeah.
Always drink of
It's
pirate.
BYOR. Bring
Your own
rum.
rum, yeah. Yo ho, yo ho, yo ho.
Just find your hat.
We can sing sea shanties.
I'm gonna have to get a pirate
Right.
fabric and make masks with
Have a
the
happy
pirates
New
on. Okay, well, happy New Year.
All right,
everybody.
see you
Happy
guys.
New
Can't get
Year.
any worse.
Year.
Bye.
Thank you all. Bye, Lucia.